Well, first of all, I'd like to welcome everybody for coming to Coffee with the Mayor this morning. I would like to express my deep gratitude to the Greater Chamber of Commerce of Picayune. We thank you for what you do, what you've done in the past, all the way from the 30s. I can remember Picayune's first airport, because I write a little history now and then, was up where Millbrook Golf Course is, and the chamber was the driving force by the first airport. First post office, building a new post office that you see. The first park. All of that started, it was conceptualized in about 1933, and I believe you received your charter in about 1935. So the chamber has been responsible for moving this city forward for decades. And we appreciate the partnership that we have with them. Same goals, same direction. It's been great to work with. We have meetings from time to time, and we strategize and we share opinions of how we move this city forward. And it's always a pleasure to do that with myself and my staff. Again, thank you for coming today. I'd like to say, we're a few days over the 2-year mark in our administration. Myself and the council were sworn in on July the 1st of 2021. So we're just a few days over our first 2 years in office. And we're going to talk a lot about that today. But I want to introduce, I know that some of them couldn't make it for one reason or another, but Precinct 1 is Anna Bales Turnage. She is the councilwoman for that district, and she does a good job. I can say that because I live in that district. And she's working hard for the community. Others that have a passion and a love for this city. You have Precinct 2, Lynn Bogan Bumpers, councilwoman. She does a great job as well. Jan Miller Stevens, for Precinct 3. Precinct 4, Larry Breland. Are any of those people here this morning? Councilman Breland, glad to have you. Glad to have you. And appreciate you coming this morning and supporting. And then in Precinct 5, we have Councilman Frank Ford. These people do a great job. They're good partners. I'm just really a blessed man in so many ways this morning. When I got out of bed, I thought about what I talk about, because I never write notes. I just speak from right here, my heart, my soul, my spirit, and if I mess up, forgive me. But anyway, but we have a great council, and we all got together when we were elected, and we said our number one goal is to move Picayune forward. And I think, and I hope, and I pray that by the time we get through with our hour here, you'll believe that we've met the challenge, you know, and so it's been good. I want to introduce someone right now. I shouldn't say this if you're going to sing happy birthday to me, but I've known for 55 years, and that's City Manager Harvey Miller. Harvey and I go back to the football days for the Maroon Tide. So and I'm not talking about sitting in the stands, I'm talking about we were on the field. We both bleed maroon and gray, and so we go back a long ways. We've worked with each other. It's just been a great friendship. He's been city manager before for a number of years. He's also served as president of your school board. He has a great love for kids. He's been involved with the schools. He's been involved with sports. They even established an award, a yearly award, to give somebody in our community like volunteer of the, am I saying that right? Volunteer of the year with our young people. Both he and I coached together a long time ago, and we take it to PYA, and it's just a great love for your children, your grandchildren, and I even had the opportunity and was blessed to work in the schools for a number of years. And then I was offered the chief law enforcement officer for the city as the police chief. And I served many years as the police chief and then served as the city manager for, I believe, 10.5 years, and now mayor. So I thank you for allowing me to serve you. But let's start off with, I think about after we were sworn in, we adopted a slogan, moving Picayune forward, and we agreed we were going to roll up our sleeves and go to work, and that's exactly what we were going to do. One of the first things we did, and I read what's on Facebook, but I assure you I would never write on Facebook. I wish you a happy birthday or happy anniversary or something like that, but I would get in trouble if I wrote on Facebook. But you know, it's all good, but the thing about it is we had a Kids Kingdom down there, and it was just deteriorating. It was made of wood. It was good when it was built, but we needed something bigger and better, because on Facebook, everybody's going to Hattiesburg to take their kids to the playground, or going to Slidell, or going to the coast, and that bothered me. These quality of life things like that, it troubled me. Why are they going somewhere else? Why can't we do something? We applied for a $1.9 million grant, BP grant, that they offer each year, and we were successful. And we were successful because we had some folks in Jackson, and y'all know who they are, starting with Senator Hill, Angela Hill, Stacy Hopgood Wilkes, and others. We're all lobbying to help us get the money for Friendship Park. $1.9 million for Friendship Park. We want to have not just an average park. We're not interested in being average. We're interested in being the best. We were awarded that because of their hard work and their lobbying efforts, and a great deal of the staff meeting with them and laying out what our vision was. And we soon after started building a $660,000 playground, all-inclusive playground. And when I say all-inclusive, I don't care if your child has autism, if you're in a wheelchair, if you're on crutches. This was a playground for everybody. Now, what I find interesting, and I was down talking with Trevor and some of them the other day, busloads of kids are coming from Louisiana and all over South Mississippi to come to our playground. And that makes me very, very proud, and it does my heart well in knowing now we're doing, and we're just begun. That was the first phase. The second phase is, I think I'm correct in saying this, and this week we're moving forward with putting synthetic turf on the fields down at Friendship Park. And Devin, I think we're just not months away, a few weeks away from making the determination to move forward with synthetic or artificial turf. And I think that will be helpful. If it rains, you can still have a tournament. Am I right about that? I think that's going to also be important for economic development for our city. If we've got tournaments coming here because we can play ball on these fields and everything, that means people eating here, buying gas here, maybe staying for the weekend tournaments and everything. This is a great thing for the city of Picayune. Now, we're not stopping there. Talking about moving forward, right now, Devin is working on next year, applying for another BP grant for next year, and that will be used if we need more fields, if we need at that time more parking, and we continue to move forward. Now, the park is a pretty big park, and if you need to go to the restroom, well, we found Councilwoman Stevens, I believe, that's her precinct. She had mentioned we needed more restrooms. Well, we applied for a BP grant for a restroom to put in the back of Friendship Park, and recently it just opened. It was completed, and it's open now, and again, we're moving forward. We built a restroom with Lower Pearl River Valley Foundation money up near the splash pad, up near the New Kids Kingdom Playground, and so we have another restroom there. Now I'm gonna carry you kind of around Picayune a little bit because we didn't stop there. Friendship Park is a great park. It's a central location for everybody to come. But neighborhood parks are important too, because I was raised in a neighborhood park. Everybody can't make it to the big park. You know, it's a distance away. If I moved over to Leola Jordan on East Canal Park, it was at one time where you couldn't hardly get out of your car. It was just a big mud hole in front of it. We teamed up with Donald Hart, the supervisor, and we paved all that since we've been in office. We paved it. I know that there are plans for a splash pad for the kids. There's playground equipment been bought for that park. We've taken a park that was kind of bare and there wasn't a lot to do there, you know, and now it's a great neighborhood park for the city. If you moved up on the north end of the city, again, and I'll split this one between Councilwoman Turnage because their precinct lines fall very close there to Mildred Mitchell Park. And for those of you who don't know who Mildred Mitchell was, she wasn't some mayor or city manager. She was a cafeteria manager at Roseland Park School. And I'm gonna tell you, I loved her, Harvey loved her, Councilwoman Stevens and Turnage loved her. We wanted to do something that had meant so much to the teachers and the kids in Roseland Park. And I believe Councilwoman Stevens named that park after Mildred Mitchell, and we're very proud of that. And since the inception of that park, I know that Eric has put up a fence to protect the children from the 43 there, the highway. I know that playground equipment has been installed. It was donated, didn't cost taxpayers a penny. I know that there's a little pavilion out there. There's just a lot of great amenities that are coming online out there. And more importantly, just like at Leola Jordan that never had a restroom, even though hundreds of people were using that park on East Canal, there will be a restroom. It started, it's being built now. Correct me if I'm wrong, Eric. When will we expect completion on that? Next 2 or 3 months?
Within the next 90 to 120 days.
Okay, 90 to 120 days, there'll be a restroom there, you know. And then I'm gonna move over, but I'm gonna let Eric talk more about this. There's a dog park, and here we go, right here. It's called the Barking Lot. I wish I could say that I named it, but Eric named it. He gets the credit for that one. And but it was a good, it's a good park for large dogs. And but then went back to Facebook to see if everybody liked it. Most people did. But what about the small dogs? And I'll let him talk more about that when he gets up here. But you know, everybody didn't want a Doberman and a Chihuahua. I would mention that you had mentioned Valspar, of course, and that conversation came up many times with Mr. Miller, the city manager, and I know they tried to sell it and they were having problems selling it and this and that and another. And so he and I kind of strategized one day, why don't you go talk to him, Harvey, see what you can do with them. He lobbied them, I think, for almost a year and finally convinced them to sell it to us for $1. And of course, we made sure we had a clean bill of health on it before we closed on it. And that was good, and we've got income coming in. We're marketing to NASA. We're marketing it local for office space. I think it's going to pay big dividends for the future for the city of Picayune. I want to talk about, I was talking about the parks. I went up the east side. Now I'm going to jump over on the west side. I had to have a break, and I knew Eric would give me that break. I would say this is J.P. Johnson Park. It's located on Rosa Street. I believe it has a walking track. We also pave over there, just like we did at Leola Jordan. You don't have to get out on the mud hole or anything like that. It has many pavilions, basketball courts, and we'll soon have a splash pad over there as well from monies received from the state. And I think I'm correct in saying this, Ben Taylor was also get playground equipment when it had none, and it also will get a splash pad over there at the request of Mr. Councilman Breland and Councilwoman Bogan Bumpers, Lynn Bogan Bumpers. So all our parks are really important. That's a quality of life issue. We don't want anybody to have to go to Hattiesburg or go to the Gulf Coast to go to the park. We want it right here. And we have some really big plans for the future involving Friendship Park primarily, because that's a central park, but it's going to be an exciting over the next few years what's going to happen at Friendship Park. I wanted to mention, he talked about the dog parks. Now the cost is what he said. Yeah, fencing is the cost. People I read on Facebook, why are we spending the tax dollars on buying a park and building a park? I think it was pretty much free. We owned the land. It was city land. And the grants were, I think, 100% from Home Depot, and then we had a donor for the Pat Blades Park. Pat Blades was, it was a park that never really got used, and his family came right on board when we called it Little Champ. That was his dog. Pat Blades is no longer with us, but there wasn't a bigger supporter in Picayune, Mississippi of the Maroon Tide than Pat Blades. On any Friday night, you could have seen him out there. He was cheering the football team on. He was a great person. Whether it's a basketball game, football game, he was always there. We miss him, but we remember him, and we know that he loved his dog, and we know that he's looking down with a smile on his face, looking at Little Champ's dog park, because his dog was named Champ. I want to move on and talk about public safety for just a moment. Know a little something about that. Spent most of my career in public safety before I became part of the management team with City Hall. Over 20 years ago, myself and Deputy Chief David Irvin stood before the council at that time and shared with them that we had outgrown the facilities quite a bit. Matter of fact, to tell you how much we had outgrown the facilities, we had part of the police department on the east side of town in the old South Central Bell building, and then when we outgrew it, then they were moved down to the south end of town at Larry Williamson down at the industrial park there, in bigger offices and more space. And then I know that they've been on the third floor of City Hall. I know they've been in the old police department at City Hall. I'm telling you, they have moved around a lot. During the last 20 years, we've approached the leaders many times that simply, and we had assessments done of the police department. I mean, when you got 12 buckets collecting rainwater, that's a problem. When you got the walls deteriorating, the floors deteriorating, when people are lined up from the courtroom all the way across the parking lot, and they have to park a quarter of a mile down just to get to court. It was time. But we didn't just go out and build a police department. Let me tell you how we did that. We wanted to be transparent. We wanted to be open. We wanted people, sometimes having critics is a good thing. They can point out things that you need to know. And so we took it to the churches. We took it to the homeowners associations. We took it town meetings right here in this room. We took it to clubs, Rotary, Kiwanis, different clubs around town. And we didn't ask them to visit the police department. We begged them. We pleaded with them. Come walk through your police department and see where your heroes work. We had built 2 fire departments, and they were much needed when we built them. But it was time, folks. It was time to build a police department. I think that I'm proud to announce that a couple of days ago, they poured the pad for the new police department on the north end of the city at Highland Parkway. I can tell you, when you talk about economic development, you have no idea. It's not a jail. We take our prisoners to Millard. It's an administrative complex and court complex. It's going to be probably a beautiful building that we can all be proud of. And we're still going to keep the police department presence down here, aren't we, Chief? Going to have kind of a southern district here, you know, where you don't have to drive north end if you don't want to. We didn't take the police department away. We can take your report right over here if you call. And we'll have a substation there. But ladies and gentlemen, I think this is going to be a great thing, and here's why. Harvey knows this. When we met privately with Rouse's for months before the announcement was made, trying to lure them up here, when they found out a police department was going to be 40 feet out their back door, they loved it. And I can tell you this is that I'm not saying that's the only reason that Rouse is coming, but I can tell you it had a lot of impact. And it's going to have a lot of impact on that part of town. I know I was speaking with Rouse's. I speak with them almost every week about one thing or another. I said, well, you know, I'm reading on Facebook where they want a big flagpole right out there where the roundabout is, and they'd like to have all that with flowers and welcome you to Highland Parkway. And I did what I usually do. I punted and I gave it to Eric. And Eric had conversations with him, and he twisted the arm a little bit. He didn't have to twist it much because it's going to be good for Rouse's. It's going to be good for the police department. It's going to be good for the lot across the street where there will soon be, I'm told, there'll be a big office building on the front facing 43, retail on the backside with apartments up above the retail. So that area is growing, you know. I know that land is being purchased on Highland Parkway for future businesses. And I think all of this is kind of coming together out there, and that's going to be a great economic driver for Picayune. Now, speaking about economics, and you're always going to go to a meeting where they say, we can't talk about it. But I'm going to talk about it, but I'm just not going to give you names. We are meeting, Sid and I, we met a couple of days ago with an investor that wants to invest millions of dollars into Picayune. We're speaking next Wednesday to another investor that wants to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars into Picayune. I can tell you from talking to people from the coast, talking to people in Jackson, Picayune is becoming a destination. We want to keep this hometown charm of this boulevard. I wrote a book about it, The Good Years on Goodyear Boulevard. I'm not interested in trying to make, 5-story buildings on Goodyear Boulevard. I think Main Street has done a wonderful job. They're a great organization. I've had the opportunity to work with them, and Eric and Harvey and I have too. They do a great job downtown, and I want to keep that integrity and the culture that we have downtown. I think what's going on downtown is great. I can remember just a few years ago, and some of you can, half them stores were empty on West Canal. Now most of them are full, and they're looking for space. And so there's some great things going on. You know, you talked about, and I know I skip around a lot because I don't read my notes. You know, I talk from here. You talked about Lisa Albritton for a moment. You talked about a star in many ways. She's sung in Nashville. She sings on the coast, sometimes 2 or 3 times a month. She in her position has brought in over $5 million in the last 2 years in grants. And it takes money. And, you know, and we go after grants because we don't go after them. I was told by mayors, I go to meetings with mayors and city managers all the time, turn them down, we'll take them. No, we're not turning it down. We're gonna go after grants, $5 million in grants invested in this community. and she's working every day and working. We thank you for what you're doing. And before I forget it, I want to remember Kevin Hedgepath. I think he had a little detour the last week or so, and most of you know about, but wonderful person, you know, works with Lacey and Courtney and all of them. Keep him in your prayers. He's on the mend right now. He had a little surgery, and he's bouncing back, but we miss him this morning, and we hope he'll be back on his feet. And we just thank you for the Hedgepath family, what all you do. And so we continue to move forward. We talked about the police department. When will it come online? I think perhaps about a year from now. We'll be having a great dedication of the police department. And I would mention that the groundbreaking, we had 300 people. If I'm right, we had about 300 people, and most of the people that had been in the building business, they said they'd never seen that many people for a groundbreaking. You know, usually that comes for the dedication and things like that. Well, we're excited about the police department. What has it meant? We bought 10 new patrol cars. I want you just to speak just for a second. I think this is important for public safety. We got a great fire department. We got a great police department. They're working together. But what does it mean when you came here, when you look back on the last few years of attrition? What does it mean today to you?
Yeah, so we, right, so I really stepped into an awesome situation. For one thing, the mayor, council, city manager, previous city manager had fought hard to get much needed things for the police department. So I didn't come in having to fight that battle, and a lot of people were on board with that, and that's what it means to get quality people. We have, if you look at issues in law enforcement and what's going on, usually retention of employees is a big thing, training is a big thing, and we have aggressively attacked those different things, so it's not an issue. And I continue to pray that we would find ways that it never becomes an issue. So a lot of our battles we aren't fighting. And it's a nice situation to be in, but it doesn't happen by ourselves. It happens with the decisions that the city council makes. It happens with the feedback from the public. All that goes into account. We have gotten away from the days for people to pass through here, get training, and go somewhere else, and we've turned that into a waiting list of quality people that want to be here. So it means the world to me. I take a lot of responsibility for it and decisions that are made and to make sure we're moving in the right way, but that's not done by me. I mean, that takes the other 35 people we have working hard at the police department. They just knock it out of the park every day. We try to be real good about what's going on in the community, so you know, and we've constantly got the resources and the abilities and what we need to be able to keep you guys safe and do our job efficiently. Other people see that, and that draws them here, so it means a lot to me. And it means a lot to have the support that we do have. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'm back over on this side now, Lisa. I'm kind of like biting anything, like that snake out there, biting anything that moves, you know. But I again want to say not only about the $5 million, but I don't know how many people here attended the firework display on the 4th of July at Friendship Park. The first year, the year before last, we had 300 people show up for it. First time we'd done anything like that. This year we had 3,000 people show up. And hard work, and that's Trevor, that's Lisa, it's a team effort. Everything we do is team effort. It's not about me, it's about the team. This is a great team to work with, and I'm very honored. You know, it's been a great journey for me, having went to school here and grown up and becoming the mayor. I'm blessed. I'm truly blessed with good Christian men and women that are working for this city. They love their God. They love this city. They have a passion for this city. And I love them, and I want you to love them too. And I know that you do. And so, again, We just keep moving on. And now I'm gonna move across interstate at exit 6. We just sent a delegation to Washington a few months ago to lobby for a frontage road. We visualize a possible one day a frontage road from across from Paul's Pastry all the way to the south end of this city. And somewhere in the middle, there'll have to be a bridge built. You're probably talking about a $12 million project. We're asking for the first $3.4 million. I can tell you we're in communication with our senators, representatives up in Congress, and it's looking favorably. It's actually made it, you know, I always thought if they told you you were on the list, that meant something. Well, I found out real quick, you can be on a list, it might be in the top drawer. But then we rolled up our sleeves and we started talking to the people that could find out, are we really on the list? And we weren't. We're on the list, and Sid, where's it at right now? What can you say?
Yeah, it's on the House bill right now, and it looks favorable. I mean, I think we can get our first round of funding. And also mentioned that we did get some money from the state already on the north end of that we're leveraging to help as our match for the additional parts that we get from the Fed. It looks very favorable.
Let me just echo what he said. We have $850,000 already to start it on the north end, and we have that in hand today, you know, to get the engineering started, whatever. And again, when we're lobbying for it in Washington, and we'll be going back to Washington probably October, November, sometime like that. But, you know, it's very important that we've got the landowners donated the land to put this highway on. In other words, usually people have to do eminent domain and all that. We're not having to do that. The landowners, the property owners have given us letters pledging their land to put that, and I know that we're asking for the utilities to go under that road as we speak. We're working on that. So that's our dream, that's our hope, and our prayer that there'll be a frontage road there, and we're going to work very hard to that end, because think about what you've all visited all over Mississippi, U.S., there's a frontage road in every city. And what is it? It's an economic corridor. One hotel, one business, one Lowe's or whatever, you know. Frontage road can really help your economy a lot. It means jobs. It means tax. It can really be a good positive thing. And I want to thank our engineers there. I want to thank our engineers, Duncan Engineering. They do a great job and have helped us move the city forward